Good afternoon, ladies and menfolk, and welcome to the first episode of Word Ninjas Live for 2014.
Whoop, whoop.
Yay! You're joining us for episode 26. And joining me today is Calvin Williams.
Hello, everybody.
William of Granville.
Hello.
And theoretically, there is a tiny little Ed lurking somewhere in the darkness behind you.
Hey!
And Justin may or may not join us somewhere along the way. But we will get things rolling. We're kicking off this year with talking points, as we do with every episode. Except for last week's episode. That one doesn't count. That one was just silliness.
Necessary silliness.
Yes, definitely. But it's time to get back to the somewhat seriousness of this show, or at least as serious as we ever get. Talking points. Talking point number 1 for the first one of the year. What books, movies, events, or etc. are you looking forward to in 2014? Who would like to take this one on? Anyone? Or am I going to have to start calling names?
I'll go first, but it's a very short list because I honestly don't pay attention to such things anymore. Books, movies, events, and all that stuff. I don't even know what books and movies are coming out this year. I sort of remember now, suddenly just remember, there weren't there rumblings about a new Riddick movie coming out sometime soon or something like that? I don't know.
Quite
That was
possibly.
That would be something to look forward to. The big thing I'm looking forward to this year, event-wise, is Kineticon 2014, which I'm sure we are all looking forward to.
I think that's on everyone's list.
Mm-hmm.
I am quite pleased that it's already all settled, though, and we don't have to worry about any more reservations of any kind.
Yeah, at this point it's just pulling all the shiny baubles together and making sure that they can be packed and unpacked and sold in a convenient manner.
We'll figure it out. I don't know, perhaps this year I'll start a new book series. I'm pretty picky about which books I read, which is something I should probably break, so... But,
Well,
yeah.
if you need any to spare, I have about 100 on my shelf that I have yet to read. Never mind the ones that I have read.
We shall see how things go. And that's pretty much all I got.
Alright. Calvin, would you like to chime in, or shall I follow up?
The only thing I can think of right now is Kineticon. That's about it, really. Eventually, I'll get to some of the books in my waiting to be read in my tablet. I don't really go to the movies. I haven't gone to the movies at all last year. So, Kineticon and book reading, basically. That's about it.
Are there any good albums or any musicians coming to the New York area worth looking forward to, or?
Have not been paying attention to that either. Whatever bands in town tells me is whoever bands in town tells me is coming, I'll pay attention. Other than that, it's all been kind of a blur for me this last few months.
Fair enough. I think it's been a blur for all of us for the past 4 or 5 or 12 months.
Yeah.
As for me, I am also looking forward to Connecticon, because that's going to be hilariously awesome, and we're probably not going to sleep very much between all of us.
Good sleep when I'm dead.
Exactly.
That'll be the Monday after.
I will be early, by the way.
I'm also looking forward to Book Expo America, which is in May, before Connecticon. That's going to be at the Javits Center in New York. It's a little less nerdy, not as many costumes, because it's mostly book publishers and agents and other weird literary peoples. But I am going to get a ridiculous amount of ARC books and things that we'll be able to review, so that'll be fun. And it is my mission this year to figure out just what the heck is going on with Penguin's imprint Rock Fantasy, because it is one of the few imprints that they have that is not really promoted anywhere on their website or anywhere on the internet, which is incredibly frustrating.
Are they trying to go for like a word of mouth thing or what?
I don't know. They kind of link it with their Ace Sci-Fi imprint in certain ways, but that one's promoted on their main website. And you have to do some really deep digging to find which books are published under the Rock imprint on the Penguin website. I think it may have something to do with internal politics between Penguin and Random House. It's probably just kind of a back burner project for them, but it's possible when we go to Book Expo America, whoever can come with me, we might be able to learn a little more about it.
All right.
Because, as I've said before on multiple occasions, and I'm sure people are sick of me saying it already, it is my favorite imprint. They have the best authors I've found in a while. I will buy any of their books without question. Well,
Fair
other
enough.
than how much money is it, and do I have that much money on me?
Fair enough. Can't fault you for that.
And now that Ed has joined us, would he like to chime in at all?
I don't really, like I said, Connecticut is about the only thing that I've had time to even think about looking forward to. We'll see how this year goes, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. It is still early in the year. We have time to sort things out.
Yeah, there's still a lot up in the air, too, so I haven't figured out anything. I'm trying not to get my hopes up thinking too much, so.
Similar question for talking point number 2. What are your writing and reading goals for 2014? And hopefully people have writing or reading goals for 2014. Otherwise, this will be a sad question.
My goals are to just like do like more of both this year. Because all of my like reading and writing aspirations like completely went to shit last year. So like I think it started strong like January and February, and then after that it's like so.
That was nice.
So I'm hoping with the motivation that I found with, in the last couple of months, I can try to capitalize on that and do stuff and be creative. That's basically all I'm hoping to do this year.
Any potential songs on the horizon for this year? Either brand new or just wrapping up or poking at?
God, there are plenty. Within the last 3 or 4 months, like I put down ideas for at least 12 songs. Maybe more. There's even more than that if you count all the other random ideas I've had from all of last year. So I'm hoping to finish a few of those. I can't give you a proper percentage yet because I have to figure out one where I put most of those ideas. They're kind of separated between my 2 computers, scattered in various folders, and like how good of ideas they were. So we'll see what happens.
Alright. Let's be lazy and just go down the line of talking heads and go to Ed.
basically this year I'm doing what I did last year. My whole thing was I just wanted to write or draw or do something creative every day. I was pretty good about it last year, so I figured I would try and do it again because at least then the stuff keeps flowing.
Well, you've already covered the singing quota for the week or so. I know that.
Hey! I only did that because they made me.
Sure you did.
But my Tumblr fans are gluttons for punishment. They want their ears to bleed. So I can't say anything about that one. But I have been doing the drawing quota. I have been doing that. And the writing has actually been pretty good. If anybody has actually been following my Tumblr page, I actually got quite inspired for a few travels lately, so that makes me happy.
Hooray. And how about Will?
I would like to actually finish My Roommate's a Stripper this year. Actually conclude it. Not
You mean
anything
there's an
soon.
end?
There is an end. There is an end. I mean, it won't be until the second half of the year that I actually reach the end, probably. But my goal is to try and get out 2 chapters a month this year, and that should hopefully bring me to the end. Hopefully before Nano. Then I'd have no distractions from attempting it and succeeding again, and I may actually use roommate spin-offs for Nano stories. See how that goes.
How about Clash of Storms?
I'm hoping to finish that this month. It's close. There's just a couple scenes left. I'm trying not to push too far because I do have a bit of a difficulty in writing combat scenes. Apparently, if I push myself too hard on those, they kind of turn out to be total funk. And I don't want total funk. I want them to at least be decent. So I'm going to alternate this month between writing between Clash of the Storms and My Roommate's a Stripper.
I actually posted, I feel like 2 or 3 things about writing fighting scenes on the Tumblr page the past week or so. I'll have to see if I can dig those up for you. Because they were pretty interesting, actually.
I think my problem is that I try to model off of Salvatore too much. I think he's very descriptive with his battle scenes, and I just don't think I know enough about actual combat to succeed in that. So I'm
Sounds like you need to go LARPing.
Yeah. Well, he gets into whole things about the exact, twisting of wrists and movement of hips and where feet placements are and blades twisting over hands and precisely where they strike. And I'm like, I love reading it, but I can't write it. Should write more like Tolkien, just be a little bit more grand but less specific.
Character A stuck the pointy bit of the sword into character B. It hurt.
That's pretty much how it ends up. Character A stabs character B. Character B dies.
Let's see. What were my goals? Oh, yeah. The whole crazy reading thing. My goal for 2014 is to read 100 books that have been in my room as of the end of last year. So if I were to buy anything new this year, they would not technically count towards that 100. And I have all year to read the 100. And I've already done 3. And I'm a little over halfway through book 4.
That's about 2 books a week, just so you know.
Yeah, give or take. Most of them are just small paperbacks, so they're hidden in the camera, like that. So not terrible. Well, some of them are terrible. Some of them are big. And then I also want to try and do 25 ARC books after the Book Expo America. And 25 seems like a lot, but the last time I went for the full 3 days, I got about 70 books. And I think there's a couple still in my pile from 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah. The nice thing about those books is it covers every single possible genre you can imagine. So I was reading historical fiction, memoirs, autobiographies, fantasy, sci-fi, literary fiction. I think I had a romance book, which I didn't really care for. So that'll be interesting. And depending on how many books I get and how interested other people are in the cast, maybe I'll pawn some of those books off to the rest of you, and you can read and review them.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy.
I'm pretty sure that they don't have any yaoi there, so
Hey!
that'll be a little disappointing.
I read more than that. Usually.
There are a lot of independent publishers and authors there, though, so you never know. Anything's possible. And as for writing, I have no idea. I'm trying to keep up with my 750 words a day. It's mostly just ranting about how I'm not doing everything that I should be doing. Although I did start a new little 5,000 word flash fiction 2 days ago now, which I want to finish at some point because it amuses me.
Mhm.
Although I've already come up against my regular problem of, gee, this is kind of a cool concept. I have personifications of winter. I have 2 of them. Wait, where'd these other 2 come from? Why is there a 5th one now? Oh, hey, a 6th one was just chilling in a tree being all quiet for most of the plot. Oops. Now I have to figure out how to make them all play nice. But it is nice to actually work on something brand new for once instead of just rehashing old plots. Oops. Okay, let's see here. Let's roll on to talking point number 3. How does your writing and thoughts about writing affect your day job? Perfect timing, Justin. We just kicked off your talking point. What was it? How does your writing and thoughts about writing affect your day job? Is writing your day job? Who would like to tackle this one?
Well, considering I don't have a day job anymore.
Obviously, you have a night job then.
No, not at the moment. Christmas ended, my job went away. So I can think about it all the time now if I want to.
I'm here.
Hooray!
Yay! Hi!
So I made a huge mistake.
What did you do?
I decided that since my driveway is super steep and super slippery, I would walk to the store, which is like really close by. And I got like a third of the way there, and the sidewalks were sheets of ice. So I walked through the snow, and it took a lot longer than I thought. So that's why I'm late.
Ah,
But I didn't slip once. I slid, but I didn't slip.
that's good.
Good.
So what point are we on now? The third one?
Yep, we're on yours.
How'd you know I wrote this one?
I think I actually saw you typing it.
Perhaps. Well, since I started talking, I might as well start. So, let's see. I do a lot of my writing, during work, usually during my lunch break, but if I get little pieces of inspiration, I'll typically do a little bit more, off the lunch break. And Nano has always been a tough month since it's in November, and that's usually when my job peaks in activity between November and December, as those who've been following along know that I worked 80 hours multiple weeks last month, and the month before was not much better than that. And then also, writing engineering reports directly conflicts with my writing style. It's quite boring, and as soon as I try to read or write an engineering document, I instantly fall asleep. no matter what time of day. It's horrible. So I gotta work on that. There's just no plot in an engineering document.
Well, isn't there a beginning and a middle and an end?
Uh, sort of, but there's no driving characters. There's no world building. There's building buildings sometimes. That doesn't really count. And the beginning, middle, and end usually just consists on, hey, this is the thing we're testing. Hey, it broke, or hey, it didn't. That's not very, that's more poem than epic novel.
Fair enough. Anyone else care to volunteer, or shall I start picking?
What was the question?
How does your writing or thoughts about writing affect your day job?
Sorry, I have a little bit of a congested headache still. Alright. The day job. Well, if it's slow at work and we don't have a lot of customers and sometimes I am just left standing around doing nothing for extended periods of time, I'll at least visualize the next scene I need to write in my head, try to plan out what people are going to do and say. Doesn't really affect my day job, but it's something I can do during my day job.
It's your version of listening to a podcast while at work.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to listen to podcasts at work though.
Well, that's what your version of.
Yeah, my version is to just get lost in my head. Hopefully I can, yeah. Because if customers come in and I have to pay attention, then I have to stop thinking about what I'm thinking about.
I feel bad just grocery shopping while wearing headphones. It's very rare that I walk around, even if I'm alone, with my headphones on.
I do honestly find it a little perturbing when a customer walks into the store with their headphones on and you try to talk to them and you're just like, hey,
Don't try to talk to them. You're fine.
I am required with the job to even try and talk to them repeatedly. I don't have a choice.
Do you ever get to do any character building based off of customers or passers-by? Or are they all too boring?
Yeah, I usually don't get to know them that well.
I came up with a character at work, but I can't use it in any sort of fictional context. So basically there's some design work that gets done on the computer a lot, and we keep getting these designs from customers that are horrendous. So there's this running gag at my work that there's a homeless guy that goes from company to company doing freelance work on these designs. And so every time we see something horrible or something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, then we'll just say it's the homeless cat guy. Just walking around doing computer-aided design, different companies. I almost started a webcomic based on this character. Sort of a Dilbert-esque.
We can join forces with Drive-Thru Jesus and Black Santa.
I would love that.
Would you like fries and forgiveness with that?
What's on the Hail Mary menu?
You can get that with or without pickles.
Oh, grace and gravy.
Speaking of sandwiches, I saw somebody order a vegetarian sandwich at a like a deli type place, like like a veggie burger with bacon.
Well, bacon.
But real bacon.
Well,
Veggie burger.
Bacon isn't meat. Bacon is bacon.
I guess there's something to be said about that.
Bacon is a divine thing on its own.
I'll jump in and say that writing is actually part of my day job, although only part of it. I do regularly proofread and like copy edit materials depending on who needs what by when, but most of the time I'm just playing with spreadsheets and making them look all pretty. But most of that, it's all having to be serious and straightforward and trying to trim down the words and make it as efficient as possible, which kind of translates to a lot of the other stuff I do. I try to figure out the best way of doing stuff or the most effective way of compiling the spreadsheets or presentations. And I'm pretty sure it's also affected my socialization because anytime someone calls me on the phone at work, it's just, okay, what do you need? When do you need it? What can I do to help? Bye. Most of them want to chat and talk for half an hour, which I do not do. Except for if it's after work, and then I get to do my fantasy writing or my nonfiction stuff, or fiction stuff. Then I can rant and ramble for as long as I please. And I have noticed that my characters have started rubbing off on me. Not the other way around. It's all their fault. I know that Slash's snobbery with wine has affected some of my choices in the past. He despises white wine with an unholy passion. And I kind of agree now.
Why is that?
I don't know. For some reason, he thinks that wine should be red.
And served at room temperature.
Maybe served at body temperature?
Ooh.
Depends on the body, considering he does tend to deal with a lot of zombies.
I feel like drinking that might be detrimental to his health. Or theirs, depending on how the story works.
And one of my newer characters from last year's Nano now, Molly, who was the person with extreme anger management issues and would sometimes set pastries on fire. While writing her, I figured out how she deals with not exploding literally and figuratively, and I've kind of taken those methods on whenever I get aggravated with people or work or life or anything else. And it is actually surprisingly effective, at least for me. So it is kind of interesting to see.
You were playing with matches during our last business meeting.
I had to do something. There we go. Would anyone else care to chime in?
Nope.
Oh.
Didn't we all already chime in? I know I did. Didn't I? Yes, I did.
Besides the people who didn't write anything in the first place.
I just like putting people on the spot.
I chimed in before Justin went off, so.
True.
I chimed in on the first two. I'm in the middle of a code frenzy right now.
Fair enough. Onwards to the highlights reel. I think this is the first time I'm actually getting to do this with other people. This is a comparatively new segment where we highlight books or authors, YouTube users, and websites of interest. Because they're amusing and other people should see and learn what other literary resources there are out there besides us. Because as fun and educational as we are, there are other options out there. As supplements, though.
Yeah, not as good, but okay. Worth mentioning.
Alright. The first thing would be the book or author highlight for the week. And let's Go over to screen share. This time we're doing the Writers Market 2014 because it seems appropriate for the year. This is kind of the standard tome for the who's who and for submitting to publishers, agents, contests. It has pretty much every primary and smaller indie publisher imaginable. It covers contact info, websites, kind of what they expect from submissions, how to go about submitting to them. So it kind of gives you a heads up of how to go about submitting to each and every one, because everyone has different expectations and complications. The first, let's see here, because I have a copy in front of me. The first almost 200 pages of the entire book, so like 2/9 of the book, is actually articles on how to do writing as a freelancer and figuring out how to reach out to people, how to sell your work, what sort of rates you should use, things like that. It has sections for all book publishers, consumer magazines, trade journals, as they put it, if you want to go a little more nonfiction or technical and whatnot. It has all of this year's contests and awards, which is always kind of worth checking out, depending on what you have ready to send out. And all sorts of other little fiddly bits that are kind of useful to have. And it comes out every year. There are multiple iterations. Usually, like, the Writers Market is the complete tome. It covers pretty much everything. They have a poetry and short story. No, it's a novel and short story version that's a little smaller and just focuses on that. I want to say they have a poetry one as well, but I don't have one handy as proof. And you don't really need to get one every year. That's just silly. Because 90% of the information stays relevant for a couple years. There's not too much turnover at the moment that you really need to worry about, unless it's some of the smaller imprints or consumer magazines, those sometimes go in and out. But if you just get like the deluxe edition of 1 year, you're good for a couple years. And the deluxe edition also offers up a 1-year subscription to their online services, which, if you're going to be serious about writing and submitting stuff, it's definitely worth the investment, because it has even more stuff and resources than the book can provide. And it usually comes out during the winter season, so pretty close to the holidays. So depending on what sort of gift cards you get, it can be pretty cost effective. Out of curiosity, has anyone on the crew ever utilized the Writers Market or an equivalent thereof? Or are even familiar with it? Or am I just rambling to myself? Because I did not check beforehand. That would be silly.
No, this is pretty new to me. Quick question: does this include fiction and nonfiction type submissions?
Yes.
Okay.
And it specifies fiction versus nonfiction.
Okay.
And it also tends to cover word count as well, so you can get an idea of the range of what people are expecting.
Well, I'm definitely gonna save this to investigate later.
All right. Let's see if I can do this conveniently. Yes, I can. Time to migrate to the YouTube user highlight of the week, which I kind of enjoy searching for these because it's entertaining to me. I don't know for other people, but I thought it would be interesting to find other literary YouTube channels. So if an hour or 2 hour show is a bit much for you, there are other options out there. Again, as supplements, but there are other options. For this week, I decided to choose the Word Nerds. Kind of like ninjas, but a little different.
Some
And,
overlap.
yeah, kind of similar to us. There are multiple people on their crew. Their YouTube handle is YA Word Nerds, so don't forget the YA part. And they actually post every day, which is interesting, and each day has a particular topic. So depending on if you want a certain style or focus, you can just choose one particular playlist rather than go through all of them. So kind of like if we were to separate all of our various segments by day, then you'd be all set. But we kind of just cram it all into Sundays. And I've already watched a fair amount of their videos, and they're pretty entertaining and definitely worth checking out. And just for the heck of it, has anyone else on the crew happened to hear of them by any chance? Or am I just blindsiding everyone today?
Completely blindsided.
What is this YouTube that you speak of?
It's this weird newfangled thing on the intertubes, I think. I don't really think it's going to pick up that much, but it does seem kind of interesting. Yeah, they do all these animated talky face things. It's kind of weird, but you get used to it after a while. Yeah, it's an interesting crew, and it's kind of interesting that they are all women, we are all men. Not quite sure what that says, but it's entertaining. Then again, I'm easily amused. But yeah, go check them out.
Different perspective on things.
Hmm. Alright. And now, onwards to the website of the week. The Evil Editor. Which is conveniently evileditor.blogspot.com. And of course, the links to all of these are in our show notes over at fcwriters.com if you don't happen to catch the URL in our video stream. And I'll post them in the YouTube show note thing as well afterwards, just to make it easy. I decided to pick this one because it's always interesting to see people's submissions and queries kind of just pulled apart and dissected and analyzed to figure out what works, what doesn't. And this one tends to have a lot of the query shark level stuff where they're not very good queries and submissions to begin with. So there's a lot to tear apart. But it is interesting how this one adds their own notations throughout query or submission, so you can kind of see how an editor reacts to what you're submitting or querying about. So you can get an idea of, well, I should phrase things a little differently than that, otherwise I will be made fun of. And out of curiosity, asking again, has anyone heard of Evil Editor or Query Shark for that matter, or any similar style one where editors or agents kind of show how they react to stuff that's sent to them?
I have not.
Nope.
It is all new to me.
CJ, stop providing new content. We want repetitive, old, familiar content. All right?
Aw,
hate
but I like
learning.
making people panic.
I don't like new things.
Well, too bad.
Oh.
You'll get educated and like it.
I'll get educated. There's no promise that I'll like it.
And to Jessica Mattis, who is watching us at the moment, thank you for the comment. I'm not quite sure what you said nice in relation to, but thank you. Presumably it was one of our segments or something that we said that was entertaining.
Hooray, we're entertaining sometimes.
Perhaps it's just our faces.
Alright.
Dear God, I hope not.
On that note, let's go to the creative goals segment. Okay, I'm getting a little frustrated with this segment because I keep shifting the how did last week's goals go up to the top of that page, and then someone keeps moving it down.
I actually noticed that and moved it up earlier this week as well. I put how did last week's goals go up also, and it is surprising that it continuously shifts down. I think we're being trolled by one of our own members.
And I know for a
And
fact
when
that I actively moved all of that to the top of that page at some point as
You
well.
mean, how did last week's go was over? What are your creative goals?
Yeah, we've been trying to set it up so that comes first, so we kind of talk about previous stuff and then moving forward. So we can kind of not mess with timey-wiminess.
I had put them in the correct position before you added the bullets. So after you've added the bullets, they've been switched again.
I call shenanigans.
All I know is that when I looked at it earlier today, it was set up like this. I think when I looked at it last time, it was set up the way it shows here. And I have not altered any of your thingies.
Sure you didn't.
Except
I mean,
for
it's obviously
Adam's
Adam's fault.
I'm gonna blame Ed, because I can't see him. So yes, how did last week's goals go, if anyone actually had goals for last week?
I said that last week was last year, and therefore it does not exist.
I wrote a little bit for Clash of the Storms last week.
Hooray!
It's also last month. Half of last week was last month.
Yeah, when I wrote that, it was not the 5th, so my comment is kind of obsolete now. Because last week was, or at least this week, has been in January. Oh
well, only part of it.
The lion's share of it, though.
And I'm just gonna read my note verbatim because really, it's the truth. Fuck all happened during vacation, at least commenting on goals-wise. I didn't do anything towards goals. I just worked a lot on other stuff and made the most of a 12-day vacation. Does Ed or Calvin have any goals from last week they would like to comment on?
Yeah, I didn't get to code as much as I wanted to last week or the last couple of weeks, mainly because I had my older brother and my nephew visiting, and my mother and myself had to entertain the two of them for like a week and a half.
That'll do it.
I had ideas slated in my head by that one over there.
Not sorry.
I actually drew pretty well, actually.
Nice.
It's Maze Hughes dressed up as Indiana Jones. So I was productive last week.
Oh, we got a response. Apparently, Jessica said nice because this show, quotation marks, is awesome.
That's
Hey,
not
I'll take it.
untrue, and I appreciate the first comment. I note she made the comment after I joined. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, she was waiting for you, obviously.
Unlikely coincidence.
You just have to be fashionably late. All right. What are everyone's creative goals for this week?
I'm going to use this opportunity to also cover the first two questions because they're all quite related
All right.
about goals and things you're looking forward to. So my overall goals for 2014 is I have a horror book list that I want to work through and kind of read all the stories academically and take notes. And so that my first horror novel that I actually put out is going to be really sharp. And I also plan on finishing the draft that I was working on during Nano and during the Cluster F that was my job. Specifically this week, though, I have a couple things that I need to finish up. I'm reading Paddle Your Own Canoe, and I need to finish that. I need to write a bunch of draft posts and publish one for my website. I've already got a couple pending, but I'm a little bit behind. I didn't get nearly as much writing as I thought I would over vacation. I was in Arizona. I was going to do some writing on the plane, but my wife borrowed my AC adapter for my laptop while my laptop was on, and I ended up packing it with a dead battery. So that didn't help. So that was 5 hours of work unobtainable. But it happens. And throughout the rest of the year, I'm looking forward to Connect-A-Con. Never been to any con ever, so that's going to be exciting. Also, this next couple weeks, I'll be slowly launching the FacingMyReality.com website. And then I'm looking forward to all the things that Full Coverage and Fairfield County Writers sites are going live, and enjoy that. And then I need to go hang out with CJ and go do a bookstore tour where he walks me around and shows me all the fun things about getting books from actual stores and maybe a library or two. It has been a long time since I've gone to a brick and mortar place for all my literary needs.
You guys should record that.
What?
It's like an 80s montage of me dancing around all the.
Well, however you want to do it, I mean, we'll put it to music if you want to, but I definitely think that would be good quality writing, reading, themed entertainment for our needs. So
it might even be informative.
It could be, potentially.
This is called a book repository. It contains hundreds of thousands of tattooed dead trees.
Attracted to the art of tattoo on something?
Hello, I'm Nigel Thornberry, and this is a library.
I would actually love to record what kind of madness would go on during that book tour.
We could start at CJ's house, and I could just look at all his shelves. You can look at my vast and expansive Stephen King hardcover collection.
You can see about 2/3 of my collection just behind me on my screen, because that's my main bookshelf if I get out of the way. 1, 2. Yeah, that's most of it. 2/3 of it. Well, actually, 1/3 of it. I forgot the pile on the floor. I only have so many shelves in this room, which is why I need to do the 100 books to read this year, so I can trim it down a bit. As for my own goals for this week, I want to solidify and promote the local writing event, which is going to be on the 18th. I really need to get a library pinned down for that. I know that has been a goal for a couple of weeks now, so I really need to do that. Or else, I need to send out the workshop topics list to people so that we can figure out which workshops we're doing for this year and who's going to be covering what topics and how can we get about recording them accordingly. And an easy one for comparatively is to finish reading the Belgorod Quintology. I'm already halfway through the 4th book. I'll probably finish that possibly today, if not tomorrow. So that'll be an easy one. And just for the hell of it, I'm going to toss in one more goal in there, because why not? I want to finish my little flash fiction piece on the winter personifications. Because if I don't put that as a goal, it's probably not going to happen. Anyone else have any commentary or goals or whatnot?
Well, my goals for writing are just to work on both My Roommate's the Stripper and Flash of the Storm this week. Actually get chapter whatever number I'm up to started for My Roommate's the Stripper. I think it's 18, but I have to double check. And I may also start reading The Last Threshold, Part 4 of the Neverwinter Saga by R.A. Salvatore. That's pretty much all I got. Simple goals for Cincinnati.
Anyone else?
Mine's pretty simple. Continue my code frenzy until tomorrow, so I can get all these these 2 websites done. Actually, one is just about done.
Hooray!
WordNinjas.net is essentially done, pending your review, CJ.
I get to see if I can break it.
Nah.
I'm very good at that, too.
That he is. That he is. So, got that. I just gotta finish the Fairfield County site, and that shouldn't be too bad.
All right.
I don't think anyway. And my goal for the rest of the week is to rest my brain. Maybe buy a beer or several.
That sounds like a good plan. Out of curiosity, have you tried Brooklyn Brewery's Silver Anniversary Ale? I think it is.
No, I have not.
It's possibly even better than the local 2.
Really?
Yeah. I just happened to see a bottle at my local store last week. It was either going to be that or the pumpkin ale, but I decided to give it a shot.
Man, they still got pumpkin ale out.
It might have been Rogue Pumpkin. I forget offhand. It was the orange bottle we had during the weekend-long shenanigans.
Don't remember.
Yeah, and I don't have that bottle on hand anymore.
But since it's pumpkin, I will assume it is good.
Yeah, I think we both enjoyed it.
Don't remember at all.
Then we must have enjoyed it.
Then again, I don't remember a whole lot of anything right now. All I remember is HTML and CSS and JavaScript and PHP.
Well, at least you're not talking in binary yet.
That would be if I activated Code Panic. Code Panic will happen tomorrow if I don't get these sites done, if I don't get the Fairfield County site done.
Let's keep the show rolling then, so you can get back to not panicking.
Much appreciated.
Alright, the next segment is kind of the same as it has been for a while. Upcoming events. The Word Ninjas Network site is releasing soon, as is the Fairfield County Writers Group update. Soon. Let's leave it nice and vague.
But CJ, there's a date. It's written down right on the show notes.
Yeah, but that's what the little curly thing before it is, to give it a little bit of leeway.
Approximately
But
that date.
that's just a tilde. The approximation sign should be two of those stacked on top of each other. I didn't take math in college.
Yeah, well, I don't conveniently have that on my keyboard.
You don't know the Alt 74364 to get the double tilde
Nope.
approximation sign? I made that up for anyone wondering. I don't know what the code is either. I know that there is one though, and that's sad enough.
Out of curiosity, is there one for an interrobang? Because I really want to use that a lot.
All I know is that you can copy and paste the interrobang off of Wikipedia.
Yeah, but that's cheating.
As an actual character. I don't know if there's an official alt code for it.
There should be.
Go into the character map.
Alt 203D.
Which code is that for?
Interrobang. Allegedly.
I'm checking my character map. Interrobang. That's the exclamation mark and question mark together, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
That would almost be a fun one-off segment just by itself. Figuring out how to type all these random little grammatical marks.
Did we ever decide on a sarcasm mark yet?
I don't think we've officially decided, but I know someone has done a post about that at some point. It wouldn't surprise me if it was the oatmeal.
Let's see an interrobang.
But while people search for silly punctuation marks, let's move on to Muse Food. Because writing prompts are fun.
I have a double exclamation mark.
Well, that's melodramatic. Okay, that's all set up. Back to the screen share. Writing prompts. Each week we provide 10 one-liners, 10 one-worders, and a story dice combo utilizing Rory's story cubes. Because some people need little extra writing prompts to get their muses going, or to kickstart some ideas, or just to make their stories very, very weird. But we like to provide the one-liners and the one-worders and the visual story cubes just to give you a couple options to choose from, or just to mix and match. That way, if one style doesn't really work for you, there are other options. And as always, each week's Muse Food can be found over at fcwriters.com. The latest one will be shown on the home page, but if you go to the Muse Food section, all of our archives are available for viewing. Alright, who would like to take on the one-liners?
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Alright. Make sure it's up. They elected Jennifer to drive after the last car died. The guards were too busy watching videos to notice I'd broken free. Stop trying to set that ice on fire. I go by the name Shadow Plague. My bartender was making too much sense considering the amount of empty glasses in front of me. Unless you have coffee, it's too early to pound on my door. No one ever thinks to look up at night. You pillaged the wrong castle,
Ruh-roh.
Mario. Latch on to the hook up there. Sounds like a Bioshock Infinite reference. Whose bed am I in this time?
Sounds
There's a
like
problem I never had in college.
England.
Would anyone like to claim the one-worders?
Very well. I will do the one-worders. The one-worders are trap, brick, sophisticated, yard, fasten, settle, cushion, plastic, miscreant, and wise.
Would anyone like to steal the story cubes, or shall I take it? Too late, I'm taking it. Alright, this week's story cubes, as I interpret them, is a little plane. Someone broke a chocolate stick. A very happy person is pushing a button. A telescope of some sort.
It's an eyeglass. Or a spyglass, I mean.
That's the term I was thinking of. Or not thinking of. A very grumpy person stuck in a three-way intersection. A chalice. A derpy-looking sheep.
Meh.
There.
An arrow.
To the knee.
Surprisingly not. But maybe that's why the kind of disconcerted person next to him is there. Because no one really wants an arrow to the knee. Or any other body part for that matter.
Mm.
I bet he said YOLO right before he got hit by an arrow.
Okay, and as always, to kind of cover ourselves, we do not own and are not sponsored by Rory Story Cubes. We just enjoy them. And we hope that you enjoy them too. And while it is not necessary to use all of these writing prompts at once, or any of them, they are just meant as an extra resource for you to use when your muse is tired and cranky. And if you write a flash fiction or short story utilizing any of these prompts, we would love to read it. Just email us a copy of your short piece, or the URL where we can read it, over at wordninja@fcwriters.com. And we will review it and possibly live read it on a future episode. You know you want to.
Yeah, you do.
I really would like to do a live reading one of these days. I think it would be pretty entertaining.
Agreed.
As long as it is a story that works for the Word Ninja's live show.
Right, so Will's not allowed to submit anything then?
Oh.
Not unless there's a lot of censoring going on.
I write safe for work too.
Sure you do.
Do you just paste all your stories into Photoshop and run the pixelator filter?
See a lot of pixelated words.
All right.
Flash of the Storms is perfectly safe for work.
Will we ever get snippets?
Possibly, maybe.
Perhaps even.
You may get the whole thing if I ever finish it.
Alright, time to start slowly wrapping things up by saying This show is compiled by Full Coverage Writers, a repository of resources for writers. To check out past episodes, reading recommendations, interviews, and more, go to fcwriters.com. We are not brought to you by anyone else at the moment. But if you would like to sponsor an episode, you can go to fcwriters.com, go to the Word Ninjas Live page, and there is a PayPal donation link where you can donate an amount of your choice. All donations go towards our various endeavors to provide engaging content for creative people everywhere. And we do have tiered donation levels. Depending on the amount of your appreciation, we give right back to you. For $1, you get a shout-out, which lets you promote your site, social media account, your own podcast, or you can just say hello to us, because we are so entertaining. For $5 whole, you can ask a Talking Points question, or promote a book, author, YouTube channel, website of interest, what have you. Just give us the info so we can coordinate accordingly. And for $10 whole, you can sponsor an entire episode and join us, presuming that you have audio and video and internet capabilities to do so. And presuming that you are not overly intimidated by 5 silly people talking on the internet.
We don't bite. At least we.
Do anyway.
For that, you have to pay more.
Yes.
Alright, unless anyone has some last-minute commentary to wrap things up, we're going to move on to the Who Are These Crazy Peoples Anyway? Nothing? Nothing? Too
Throat
late.
frenzy.
Then we shall skip Calvin and go to Ed. Ed, who are you?
I am Ed. Ed is Ed.
Where can people find Ed on the internet?
Ed. Exactly. You got it. Okay, so the most convenient place to find me is on Tumblr. I am the wild and creepy, the Full Metal Edward Elric.tumblr.com. I claim no regard for people's sanity while you're there. It is at times NSFW. Not all the time, although right now. And I am on DA at ladymidnight.deviantart.com. And I kind of, sort of, I haven't touched my Twitter account in months. But you're welcome to follow if you want to. You're Ed the Alchemist or Midnight Alchemist, and it's all spelled out hopefully in the show notes. You sit here trying to spell it with me. Okay, I'm good.
And where can people find Justin?
My website, which would have launched this weekend if I didn't have a pipe burst yesterday, but will be launching this coming weekend, facingmyreality.com. It's sort of a productivity blog, and it will also later include all of my writings, including my 100 words a day writings, my flash fictions, and some of my longer works and snippets of thereof. You can email me at info@facingmyreality.com. Facebook page is at facebook.com/facingmyrealityblog. Google Plus page is still a bunch of random numbers that I'm not going to read on the air. And my Twitter handle is twitter.com/facingmyreality. I took a little break on the Twitter over vacation, but I will be writing more frequently, especially while I'm at work.
And how about Will?
You can find me in several places on the internet. My personal Tumblr, which is not safe for work, is darkhom.tumblr.com. As always, that's DARKHOM. I have a writing Tumblr for the novel I'm working on. My roommate's a stripper.tumblr.com. Like the story within, it is not safe for work. My almost never used Twitter account is @WillGranville, and I have a Sofurry account, which is darkhome.sofurry.com. You will need to sign up to view not safe for work content, otherwise you will need to view safe for work content. And that's it.
Alright. Can I sneak Calvin in, or shall I go?
I'll run through everything real quick. Let's see. You can email me at thewebmaster@fcwriters.com if you have any questions or gripes about the full coverage writers and the upcoming Word Ninjas Network and Fairfield County Writers Group websites. You can find me at the website Riffraff, the music site. Good times there. It's riffraff.net, riffraf.net. You can take a look at all the websites that I've put together and various fun things at calvin.cwillia.ms. That's calvin.cwillia.ms. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ccwii, and on Tumblr you can find me under Instacal. And to cover it.
Yep. And as for myself, if you really want to stalk me, you can find me under my very rarely used Twitter handle, silver_wolf85. I do plan on actually picking that up a bit in the year, because it's a shame to just let it collect dust. But if you want to check out any of Full Coverage Writers' other creative endeavors, we have many. Go over to fcwriters.com. That is the main hub for everything that we do. If you're more interested in our social media outlets, we're over at Tumblr at fcwordninja.tumblr.com. Facebook is just facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. Our literary Twitter handle is at fcwordninja. That one is used a lot more frequently, mostly just providing interesting links to other articles on third-party sites. And if you want to reach out to us for whatever, you can touch base with us via email at wordninja@fcwriters.com. And with that, we're going to sign out for yet another week. We'll see you for episode 27 next Sunday. And as one last final thing that I'm going to need to put in the show notes so I remember, if you enjoyed this episode or any previous episodes, please hit that subscribe button, click the thumbs up button, what have you, or just comment. We do check old comments. They do pop up. We will notice, and we will respond accordingly. So please show your appreciation. And with that, ta-ta.
Code Frenzy. From all of last year, so I'm hoping to finish a few of those. I can't give you a proper percentage yet because I have to figure out one where I put most of those ideas. They're kind of separated between my two computers, scattered in various folders, and like how good of ideas they were. So we'll see what happens.
Alright. Let's be lazy and just go down the line of talking heads and go to Ed.
Basically this year I'm doing what I did last year. My whole thing was I just wanted to write or draw or do something creative every day. I was pretty good about it last year, so I figured I would try and do it again because at least then the stuff keeps flowing.
Well, you've already covered the singing quota for the week or so. I know that.
Hey! I only did that because they made me.
Sure you did.
But my Tumblr fans are gluttons for punishment. They want their ears to bleed. So I can't say anything about that one. But I have been doing the drawing quota. I have been doing that. And the writing has actually been pretty good. If anybody has actually been following my Tumblr page, I actually got quite inspired for a few travels lately, so that makes me happy.
Hooray. And how about Will?
I would like to actually finish My Roommate's a Stripper this year. Actually conclude it.
You
Not
mean there's
anything
an
soon.
end?
There is an end. There is an end. I mean, it won't be until the second half of the year that I actually reach the end, probably. But my goal is to try and get out 2 chapters a month this year, and that should hopefully bring me to the end. Hopefully before Nano. Then I'd have no distractions from attempting it and succeeding again, and I may actually use roommates.
Going to sleep very much between all of us?
It's sleep when I'm dead.
Exactly.
That'll be the Monday after.
I will be early, by the way.
I'm also looking forward to Book Expo America, which is in May, before Connecticon. That's going to be at the Javits Center in New York. It's a little less nerdy, not as many costumes, because it's mostly book publishers and agents and other weird literary peoples. But I am going to get a ridiculous amount of ARC books and things that we'll be able to review, so that'll be fun. And it is my mission this year to figure out just what the heck is going on with Penguin's imprint Rock Fantasy, because it is one of the few imprints that they have that is not really promoted anywhere on their website or anywhere on the internet, which is incredibly frustrating.
Are they trying to go for like a word of mouth thing or what?
I don't know. They kind of link it with their Ace Sci-Fi imprint in certain ways, but that one's promoted on their main website. And you have to do some really deep digging to find which books are published under the Rock imprint on the Penguin website. I think it may have something to do with internal politics between Penguin and Random House. It's probably just kind of a back burner project for them, but it's possible when we go to Book Expo America, whoever can come with me, we might be able to learn a little more about it.
All right.
Because, as I've said before on multiple occasions, and I'm sure people are sick of me saying it already, it is my favorite imprint. They have the best authors I've found in a while. I will buy any of their books without question. Well,
Fair
other
enough.
than how much money is it, and do I have that much money on me?
Fair enough. Can't fault you for that.
Good afternoon, ladies and menfolk, and welcome to the first episode of Word Ninjas Live for 2014.
Whoop whoop!
Yay! You're joining us for episode 26. And joining me today is Calvin Williams,
Hello, everybody.
William of Granville,
Hello.
and theoretically there is a tiny little Ed lurking somewhere in the darkness behind you.
Hey!
And Justin may or may not join us somewhere along the way. But we will get things rolling. We're kicking off this year with talking points, as we do with every episode. Except for last week's episode. That one doesn't count. That one was just silliness.
Necessary silliness.
Yes, definitely. But it's time to get back to the somewhat seriousness of this show, or at least as serious as we ever get. Talking points. Talking point number 1 for the first one of the year. What books, movies, events, or etc. are you looking forward to in 2014? Who would like to take this one on? Anyone? Or am I going to have to start calling names?
I'll go first, but it's a very short list because I honestly don't pay attention to such things anymore. Books, movies, events, and all that stuff. I don't even know what books and movies are coming out this year. I sort of remember now, suddenly just remember, there weren't there rumblings about a new Riddick movie coming out sometime soon or something like that? I don't know.
Quite
That was
possibly.
That would be something to look forward to. The big thing I'm looking forward to this year, event-wise, is Kineticon 2014, which I'm sure we are all looking forward to.
I think that's on everyone's list. And now that Ed has joined us, would he like to chime in at all?
I don't really, like I said, Kineticon is about the only thing that I've had time to even think about looking forward to. We'll see how this year goes, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. It is still early in the year. We have time to sort things out.
Yeah, there's still a lot up in the air, too, so I haven't figured out anything. I'm trying not to get my hopes up thinking too much, so.
Similar question for talking point number 2. What are your writing and reading goals for 2014? And hopefully people have writing or reading goals for 2014. Otherwise, this will be a sad question.
My goals are to just do more of both this year. Because all of my reading and writing aspirations completely went to shit last year. So I think it started strong January and February, and then after that it's so.
That was nice.
So I'm hoping with the motivation that I found in the last couple of months, I can try to capitalize on that and do stuff and be creative. That's basically all I'm hoping to do this year.
Any potential songs on the horizon for this year? Either brand new or just wrapping up or poking at?
God, there are plenty. Within the last 3 or 4 months, I put down ideas for at least 12 songs. Maybe more. There's even more than that if you count all the other random ideas I've had.
I am quite pleased that it's already all settled, though, and we don't have to worry about any more reservations of any kind.
Yeah, at this point it's just pulling all the shiny baubles together and making sure that they can be packed and unpacked and sold in a convenient manner.
We'll figure it out. I don't know, perhaps this year I'll start a new book series. I'm pretty picky about which books I read, which is something I should probably break, so. But,
Well,
yeah.
if you need any to spare, I have about 100 on my shelf that I have yet to read. Never mind the ones that I have read.
We shall see how things go. And that's pretty much all I got.
Alright. Calvin, would you like to chime in, or shall I follow up?
The only thing I can think of right now is Kineticon. That's about it, really. Eventually I'll get to some of the books in my waiting to be read in my tablet. I don't really go to the movies. I haven't gone to the movies at all last year. So, Kineticon and book reading, basically. That's about it.
Are there any good albums or any musicians coming to the New York area worth looking forward to, or?
Have not been paying attention to that either. Whatever Bands in Town tells me is whoever Bands in Town tells me is coming, I'll pay attention. Other than that, it's all been kind of a blur for me this last few months.
Fair enough. I think it's been a blur for all of us for the past 4 or 5 or 12 months.
Yeah.
As for me, I am also looking forward to Connecticon, because that's going to be hilariously awesome, and we're probably not